Hey Monkey Community, checking in on the project. We're at 213,000 market cap and looks like coming back a little bit up 4% over the last 24 hours. So hopefully we have hit that bottom that we've been looking for and things will start to stabilize, especially as the market turns here. Looking at the overall market, there's some bullish news which we'll talk about for the market overall, but you can see kind of wild day of trading for Bitcoin. Ended up slightly up, but swung down to a little over 87,000 before popping back up to 90,000 and then dipping again after that. So you can see, um, pretty crazy trading out there, and it's likely because of the news coming out of the Trump administration, which we'll talk about. But once the market comes roaring back, I have no doubt Monkey's going to follow, and our meme coins in general. So I'm fine with the chart the way it is here. And I want to talk a little bit about how Monkey is a special coin and what makes Monkey special. And I think the reason is the meme causes you to feel something. You look at it, makes you happy, and brings out other emotions. And I think that's an important part of a meme in general. Some memes run because of a word someone says, and they tokenize it and create a coin, or some news story that's viral. Some are funny, but Monkey definitely brings out the emotion of the community, and that's why we have such a strong community. And at times, Monkey has a sense of innocence, belonging, loyalty that it brings out, and it's also funny and inspiring at times. So all these different things rolled up into one meme is pretty powerful, in my opinion. And Monkey, we all have our own version of Monkey, and it matches the different personalities that we have as a community. So you can sort of make Monkey your own and create your own content here. And I think that's why the community is so strong. We're loyal, we care about each other because of that emotion that the monkey brings out, and we kind of bond over the monkey. And that's why I think this is a unique coin and community. There's none other like it that I'm aware of. So um, yeah, that's why I'm extremely bullish because the current market cap doesn't reflect it at all, right? It's way lower than it should be given the mind share that we have on X and elsewhere. That's why I'm extremely bullish. Let's look at the news here. Starting off with Link, with a reminder, your bags will go minus 90% before they go plus 50,000%. And this is a common thing with these cult coins, these community coins, is that there is typically a large pullback when the folks that are just momentum trading exit or get impatient. We have these pullbacks before we go parabolic, and I think Monkey's in that spot where we've pulled back. We're still here, we're still working, and we're just waiting for the green candles that we're sure are coming. Crypto Rover says bullish. Trump administration says banks will go all in on crypto after market structure legislation passes. And so that's kind of the consensus that this is going to be big for the crypto industry and that banks will feel more comfortable trading and understanding how it works after this legislation passes. And this is probably the biggest news. President Trump canceled EU tariffs set for February 1st. And as we know, that messed with the market a couple days ago, and now they're canceled. So the market's rejoicing. So again, it's kind of whipsawing us back and forth here, but good news here for sure. Max Crypto sums it up nicely. Trump canceled tariffs on EU. Greenland deal is done. Stock market is about to double. Russell 2000 just hit new all-time high. Let the crypto pump begin. All the bullish news summarized here by Max Crypto, and I really think it's time for us to run, and I think Monkey's no exception there. I think once we see crypto pumping as a whole, Bitcoin, everything else, we'll see money flow to our memes. Bitcoin Magazine says President Trump says the Bitcoin and crypto market structure legislation will unlock new pathways for Americans to reach financial freedom. And I think unlocking new pathways, that's kind of what we talked about, the onboarding and offboarding and the ability to put funds in and easily buy crypto. In the past, it's been hampered by the banks. being cautious and not having any dealings with crypto just because of the reputation. This will legitimize crypto and allow more normies to invest. Coinvo says, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says, we are removing all regulatory obstacles for crypto. So it's going to free things up here and allow that money to flow. We already see the big institutions involved. Some people like that, some people don't. But you can't argue that crypto is becoming more mainstream with these big banks and other institutions being involved. Crypto Fergani says crypto is destroying you mentally for now. Soon it will be rewarding you financially. Only the strongest minds will win. I think that's where we're at with Monkey right now. With the way the chart is, it's hard to just hold and do nothing or add at this point. But this is again where the real money's made. When you're trading sideways like this in this accumulation zone, it's called accumulation zone for a reason, so that you can add more of your cult convictions. Levis says study holding with conviction. Again, you can hold, but I think some people are just on the verge of selling all the time, right? They're thinking every single day, should I sell? Should I sell? Should I hold? Should I hold? Conviction means you're not worried about that. You're holding, you're convicted, you're just holding and chilling, adding more even, and waiting for what you know is coming. So that conviction part's important. You can have two holders holding the exact same bags. Their experience is way different, right? The one with conviction is not worried about short-term price changes, whereas the one without conviction is on the verge of selling at all times and inevitably end up bottom selling. Gordon kind of talks about the general market here. Here's what you need to understand. Trump tax refunds announced January 16th. Fed 55 billion liquidity announced weeks ago. Market dump happened January 19th to 20, right before both catalysts hit. This isn't coincidence. They create the dip before the liquidity arrives. By the time retail sees it, institutions already bought. And so this is sort of what we're looking at here. This quick dump, liquidating the longs, then a quick pump, liquidating the shorts. I saw someone had a post about that. This is just wiping out people with leveraged positions. And so it definitely seems like there's some manipulation going on, which is totally normal. They do it with stocks as well. For these big institutions, they just have the volume there to really move the markets, and definitely looks like some sort of manipulation going on. Altcoin Daily says just in, President Trump says our stock market is going to be double in a relatively short period of time. Crypto will be next. Again, we've talked about Trump and his family and how they typically work their bags, their investments. Crypto is one of those large bags. They're heavily involved in crypto, and they're definitely going to pump it. So there's no doubt in my mind they're going to bring out legislation and do things with interest rates, whatever they need to do to push the stock market. Trump talks about it all the time. No doubt he's going to do his best to pump the stock market. Sniper says, sometimes the next runner stares at you in the face, but you don't take any action until it's too late. I believe this is perfectly said for Monkey. Monkey is staring everyone right in the face. It seems so obvious to all of us in the community, and I think it's just a matter of time before it becomes obvious to everybody. Unfortunately for some folks, it will be too late, like Sniper says here. It's obvious. You're sitting here, you're not pulling the trigger and buying, and then before you know it, it's running and it's too late. So what I'm doing is I'm securing my bag, adding when I can on these dips, and then just waiting and chilling. And we know where we're going. We just need that catalyst, that one post from someone, something from the pump fund team. There's just many things that could send Monkey. It just seems like it's already always on the verge of sending, just pending some information. Again, the strong community of holders is what will cause us to run and have a sustained run, I believe, just because as we've looked at, the top 40 holders are incredibly solid and not selling and holding. And I think that's a huge part of why we're going to run. And again, as I said in the beginning of the video, Monkey's a unique coin, a special coin, and I'm extremely bullish about the future. Thanks. See you guys tomorrow.